one of the things that we always wanted to do on this channel and on our trip, well, on our trip first and foremost, and on this channel was, you know, to be truthful. And one of the things that we had said when we were coming away was that I'm sure we were going to have lots of time to have lots of adult, serious conversations, and that's certainly what we kind of had a little bit of last night, and we've both kind of been feeling it. And we've been on the road now for 4 weeks, and I think one of the things that you have to be mindful of when you're on such a long trip is not every day has to be, or indeed should be, epic. You know, it's about getting into a routine, and I think, you know, we're still struggling a little bit with not always doing everything. You know, we're here in Mull and it's like, let's see the otters, let's see the eagles, let's see the everything, whereas actually it would be good just to go and chill out in a coffee shop for a couple of hours and get a little bit of work done and catch up with some planning and do whatever. So yeah, it was an interesting conversation last night, and we both kind of came to the same sort of agreement. Yeah, so that was kind of partly of the more seriously adult conversation. I mean, we had other chats as well. I mean, I'm not sure whether you know our history, probably not. 8 years ago?
Yep.
8 years ago, well, firstly, before this, we lost Nicola's father. And then shortly after that, we were accepted for IVF, infertility treatment. And unfortunately, the 3 rounds of IVF failed. As sod's law would have it, once was on my birthday, once was on Christmas Day, and once was on World Cup final day. Go figure.
At least England weren't in the final, I guess.
This is true. More chance of having kids than England being in the final. And I think at the time we didn't really get a lot of support after it all failed, and we threw ourselves, at that time we were both in very well paid jobs, obviously didn't have then the responsibility of, you know, planning for a family, so we kind of threw a lot of our own, you know, efforts into kind of, you know, big trips and doing up the house and buying new cars, instead of probably really thinking about what that actually meant for the future. And I think now, when we're on the road and we've got a lot more time to think about where we're, no doubt about it, we're in a little bit of a transitional period. How long that transitional period lasts for, who knows? Mm-hmm. But it's clear that we're going to have a lot of thinking time on this trip, and we're kind of trying to have that right balance between seeing lots of things. I mean, I think you said last night, you know, you thought your dream was to see everything, whereas it transpires if that's all you're doing,
it's still not quite enough.
Yeah, so
I think I'd probably in the last month come to realise that a lot of my issues, and I think we've talked about my mental health issues previously, a lot of my anxiety issues are due to the fact I never dealt properly with, firstly, my dad dying. Unfortunately, my mum didn't cope very well with it all, which meant that myself and my brothers had to put all our energy into looking after her for a number of years. So I never really properly grieved. And then the failed IVF, you know, kind of blustered on, thought, yeah, well, that's fine, you know, we'll get on with life, we'll have fun, and etc. And it transpires that really what I should have been doing is grieving for both those things, my dad and the lost family. And I think I'm finally starting to realise now that a lot of my issues are probably due to that. And the fact now I've been left without any sort of direction, any purpose, any future path. And I see other people and their families, and yes, I get very envious, and I miss what I've not got. And I know that sounds strange, how can you miss what you've not got? But I think having a family gives you that routine, that focus, that drive, because you're doing things for your children, and we haven't got that. And I initially thought just being on the road and seeing all the amazing wildlife and beautiful places would be enough, but it turns out it's actually not. So I think what I'm starting to realise is that whilst this is fantastic, I need to stop sometimes and actually give something back to the world. I guess everybody's looking for some sort of legacy with their life, and if mine can't be with children, then why can't it be helping animals, or the planet in some way? I know that sounds a massive deal, but you know, just go and work in a rescue centre for a couple of weeks, volunteering, doing whatever they need. At least you've got a purpose to what you're here for. So we talked a lot about that, and I don't know what that means really logistically and going forwards. At the moment I'm still working for the company I used to work for in Cambridge, but that could come to an end at any time, and then I really will seriously have to think about the future. And
I think we both, I mean, my job is I'm a photographer. For many years I worked in the oil business, and for about 2 years I had planned to give that up and go for my dream of being a photographer. And at the time, and for many years, I was a sports photographer. And literally within, well, the Christmas before, I'd been planning for about 2 years, and the Christmas before I was going to be handing in my notice. Unfortunately, my dad, through illness and through a serious bleed on his spine, got paralysed. And so basically, cut a long story short, I still did give up Schlumberger, the company I work for, and I did the sports photography for about 3 or 4 months, but things started to unravel pretty quickly in our...
both with me and with your family.
And so we made the decision at that point to move from England and move back to Northern Ireland, and I gave up the sports photography. Now I still work for the agency. And so I've had massive issues because I had to kind of reinvent myself. Now, landscape photography was always my #1 passion, but I had to kind of reinvent myself. And in all truthfulness, there's been a number of reasons I haven't really dedicated as much as my time to that over in Ireland as I should have. And so on this kind of, I don't like using the word trip, because to me it's trying to transition into some kind of lifestyle on this journey. You know, I need to also be thinking about how I'm sort of going to be financially, you know, self-sufficient from the landscape photography point of view. And so I've often shied away from, you know, putting myself out there for, you know, commissions or doing other bits and pieces. I do a lot of workshops, but other things I've kind of shied away for, and I have to accept that I have to be doing that. And it may be just like what Nicola was saying about maybe working in a rescue centre. We're pretty fluid, you know. We have to stay in the UK because of this one at the moment. We don't really want to take it to Europe, but anywhere in the UK is really possible for us. And so, you know, as I said to Nicola last night, you know, if you manage to get a gig pet sitting or working in a rescue centre, an animal rescue centre, or dog walking or something in Shetland for 3 weeks.
Hello, anyone in Shetland that would like us.
Exactly. Then, you know, building our travel around a more sustainable future as well. And for myself, you know, looking for maybe some commissions or looking for other areas that I can actually work in an area and maybe offer something back from that will sort of, you know, provide a little bit financially for me as well. So it was while the wind and the rain was howling outside last night, it was a pretty in-depth conversation, and I think we both came away from it, you know, at least on the same page, which was good.
I think as well it's made me realise I'd hoped that just getting in the van and getting on the move would cure me, if that's what you do with mental health issues, but it hasn't. If anything, it's probably got slightly worse initially, but what it has done has made me take a long hard look at my life. So I would encourage people not to shy away from doing this, but as Nigel told me time and time again, you will take your problems with you, so just be aware you will take your problems with you, but it maybe gives you the space to try and figure out a better path than just sitting at home stewing on your problems. And I have some good times when I see otters, eagles, deer, and I cry a lot, and it's hard, but it's early days.
And I think I've come to realise that from a lesser importance point of view compared to someone's mental health, but from the photography point of view, I can't be out every day, photograph, because even I get a little bit jaded from that perspective. And so putting some other structure amongst it and trying to build some kind of routine where we are still in fantastic places. I mean, if someone was to say to me right now, Nigel, we'd like you to come and work up in Shetland for a month next summer, that would be incredible, because we're in Shetland, you know, we've got our house with us.
Do we keep mentioning Shetland a lot?
Seriously, Shetland, we're coming for you. So, yeah, I mean, apologies, this episode has been a little bit more serious and not jumping around, but as we said from day one, this was never going to be about just unicorns and rainbows. It just wasn't.
I think it's important that van life isn't just seen as a big jolly, because, you know, it's real life and you still have to face up to everything. Yeah. But at the same time, it's better than sitting in an office or sitting in your house day in, day out.
Yeah. And for me, knowing Nicola, I think you would agree better than I know yourself. I can see little sparks. I think I've mentioned this during one of our summer videos. I see little sparks that prove to me, you know, we had the conversation a few days ago, you know, is this really healthy for Nicola, or should we be going down a more traditional route? And I guess the jury's still out there a little bit. But I certainly see, compared to sitting in one place, I see a different side of Nicola, a positive side of Nicola. And I think it's just a case of us slowing down a little bit and not always being on the move, and also just getting a little bit of structure and stability. And something that, you know, we're both, even though we're out driving around in the van, and I'm sure a lot of people will say, oh, you're having the time of your lives in there, we both love to be challenged from a professional point of view. You know, I think we both excel when we're given challenges, and so that's what we're looking for as well. It's not just for me about taking a picture because I love photography, and it is my second most greatest passion after my family, and I include Guinness in the family there, but something that really drives us professionally, something that really gives us some sort of meaning from that perspective. Anyway, as I said earlier, sorry this was a very talkative, heavy one. We just wanted to be open that this is the sort of conversations that we've had in here.
And what we'll do, I'm having a pretty hard time at the moment, so we will check in on this subject again in maybe another 4 weeks. Yep. And see, has it made a difference, and update you. So if it can help someone else, then even better, because mental health issues are an awful issue, you know, illness, and whatever anybody else can do for somebody else, just do it, because we've got to help people deal with these things. And if I can help find a way, just in a small way, to encourage people to get on the path to recovery, or if somebody wants to leave a comment for me, that would be fantastic. I think it's important to recognise it and deal with it.
Right guys, well, we're going to go for a little bit of a dander. We're not going to take the van down that road because I've been reliably informed it gets thinner and thinner, so I may not even fit down. So we're going to head down the road, go for a bit of a wander. This is probably going to be the last vlog that we have from Mull. We leave Mull tomorrow morning, head onto the mainland for a couple of hours, then over across another ferry, and then we're on Skye from Thursday evening. So we'll probably catch up at some point in the next couple of days. But
we'll catch up later.
Thanks always for watching, and we'll catch up soon. Bye bye.